Every now and again we will hear a bit about the Skilled Migrant Program, which is one of the major outreach programs of the club. It is a program that was established about 10 years ago by the government in order to train people who had arrived in New Zealand very well qualified, always with degrees and several years of professional experience at home, but had not been able to fit into the New Zealand employment culture, even though they have enough points to qualify as permanent residents. So the government decided to try and do something about it, put up some money and asked universities whether they would like to run some kind of program. Victoria University established a program that has 5 weeks of classes, followed by a 6-week heavily supported internship, and then a 6th week of classes to round things off. So the university is responsible for the Skilled Migrant Program, and we get funded by the government for it, but it's a very complicated sort of course. The two major institutions that also help, first is the Johnson Group, Lee Johnson being a member of this club. The Johnson Group finds most of the internships that people go into, and often with the help of members of the club who either can offer a position themselves or make suggestions. And then there is the Rotary Club, which is the third partner in the group, which helps in a good many ways. When the program was established, it became clear that even though it's reasonably well funded as a university course goes, there still was not enough resources to provide the individual attention that skilled migrants need. And a lot of that individual attention comes from members of this club. The relationship is administered by the Vocational Services Committee. A few of the things that our members do act as mentors to the migrants once they've graduated and are looking for a job. They also, as I mentioned, the members of the club can sometimes provide or recommend internships. And what I want to talk about particularly today is a good many of the club volunteer as tutors. What the tutors do is provide conversation practice, which sounds simple enough, but if you come from a culture that does not know what small talk is, and somebody asks you how you are, greeting you, you're apt to respond for a quarter of an hour or so. And so that sort of thing needs to be sorted out. And there are a number of adjunct lecturers who talk about things that are not readily available within the university. The tutors also, as well as having conversation practice, they do a lot of training of people in interview techniques. So it's useful if people from this club who volunteer to be adjunct tutors have some knowledge and experience of interviewing staff. So every now and again I need to announce that we need a few more tutors. Usually we have quite a number, but we're getting a little bit thin on the ground. So it would be handy if there are people who, with those sorts of skills and experience who would be willing to offer an hour a week for 5 weeks or so. It's a particular hour. It's 11:30 on Tuesdays, which does cut people out if you have some regular appointment. It's unfortunately not possible to shift that time, but 11:30 on Tuesdays is when the tutors come to the class and get paired with skilled migrants and give them training of one kind or another. You don't have to prepare in advance whatever the work is for the particular day is quickly explained at the beginning of that hour. Now, my role in the organisation is to act as the liaison between the club and the university and the program. Why I do that rather than anybody else is because the person who is the course coordinator and who established the program is my wife, and Nikki Ridderford, who you will see from time to time introducing members of the program here twice a year. There are 2 cohorts that go through every year. The second cohort for this year has just started today. It's into its second week, and in fact, if there are people who are able to volunteer to be tutors and happen to be free tomorrow, you can be dragooned straight into that role. Now, if you're able to, could you please send me and Nikki an email? But I'll wait outside and explain a bit more to anybody who is interested in this role, but would like to know a bit more about it. And finally, usually most tutors can't come every week, so it's handy to be on regular email contact so you can let Nikki know whether you're going to be able to be around this week or not. Thanks so much.